Hello, this is Coach Shafto. This is the last section of our ratios review. It is percents. Let's go ahead and work this out. Solving percents, we're going to do it the same way we did everything else. Just take these word problems and you got to set them up the right way. So let us begin. Question number 1 says 80% of people who went to the football game were parents. There were a total of 120 people who went to the game. It says how many parents attended the game. So we're trying to figure out the parents. And so when you set up a percent, you're going to have your fraction bar, and you're going to have 100. And you don't have to put the percent. In fact, you really shouldn't, but I like to put it here just to remind me that this is the section for percent. And then over here is the section for people. And specifically, this is my total people, and this is my parent people, which is different. Parent people are different from regular people. So it says 80%. And then it says there were a total of 120. Well, this is my part. And this is always going to be my whole. It's like a fraction. It's part over whole. So that's 120. So if I'm going to solve this, I can cross multiply. And then I'm going to divide. So I have 80 times 120 is equal to 100 times some number. And so if I set this up, I've got 80 times 120, which is 9,600. 9,600 is equal to 100 times the number. And if I don't know part of a multiplication problem, I can divide by, this is called coefficient, and it gives me 1 in left over because 100 divided by 100 is just the 1 in by itself. Divide by 100. And when you divide by 100, you can just knock these zeros off as long as it doesn't have decimals. So I have 96 is equal to the number of parents. So this goes to 96 up here. Let me go ahead and write that in block. This is 96 parents, people who are at the football game. Go ahead and do question number 2. In Mr. Hall's room, Mr. Shafto's room, 20% of the students are going to the football game. If 8 kids are going to the game, how many kids are in Mr. Hall's room? So then let's set it up. Again, I like to put the percent here, but I do not need to. In fact, I probably shouldn't because that would be the decimal, but I like to remember that the percent is here and this is my section. It's got percent, so it's always out of 100. It says 20% of the students are going to the football game. If 8 kids are going to the game, how many kids are in Mr. Hall's room? Okay, so we've got going, and then we have kids who are going, so that corresponds. So this is the 20%, and that corresponds with the 8 kids who are going. 20% are going, and 8 kids are going. Going, 8 going, 20% going. Then it asks, how many kids are in Mr. Hall's homeroom? How many total? So this is my whole. I don't know what it is, so that's my unknown, and it's total in the homeroom. THR, total homeroom. Then let's set it up. We're going to cross multiply. And I get 8 times 100 is 800. It's going to be equal to 20 times the number. So in this case, again, remember that when I do not know part of a multiplication problem, I need to divide to figure it out. So I divide by 20, and this gives me 1. I'm left with 1 in. Divide by 20 over here. I can knock my zeros off because there's no decimals. I'm at 80 divided by 2, and that gives me 40. So it tells me that there were 40 students in Mr. Hall's homeroom. Question number 3. The table below shows a survey of students' favorite sports. It says, what percent of students chose soccer as their favorite sport? We set this up. I have part over whole is percent out of 100. It says we don't know the percent because it asks what percent, so that's going to be my box already. I know that. And it says soccer. Well, there's 10 people who like soccer. But then it says out of how many total? Well, a lot of people will be like, well, there's 12 total, but that's only basketball. So let's add these together. 4 plus 2 is 16. Plus 10 is 26. Plus 2 is 28. Now I'm going to double check my work just to make sure. 12 plus 4 is 16. 16 plus 10 is 26. Plus 2 is 28. So this is going to be 28. So over here, I'm going to cross multiply. You get 10 times 100 is 1,000 is equal to 28 times some number in that I do not know. And when we don't know part of a multiplication problem, we divide, we do the opposite to find the answer. This gives me 1 whole n left over. And then I divide by 28. 1,000 divided by 28. 1,000 divided by 28 is equal to 35.71. That feels like it's wrong. Let's check and see. 35.71. Did I set this up right? Okay, let's divide. 35.71. Oh, percent. Okay, I thought it was talking about people. So that's sort of reasonable, I guess. So 35% of the students prefer soccer. And so if I divide these, 10 divided by 28, let's see what happens. Divided by 28, so I get 30. Same thing, 0.357, so that's correct. 12 plus 4 plus 10 plus 2 plus 4 plus 10 plus 2. No, 12, and that's 28. So I got it right for sure. Okay, let's move on. Question number 4, right here. I'll do this one in red. Question number 4 says, what is 80% of 600? So it's asking for 80%. So that's easy. We just put 100% where it's supposed to be. And it's out of 100% because that's my setup. And it says out of 600. Well, if I'm taking something out of something, it's out of the whole. Like if I have a pot, it's got some food in it. I'm taking out of the whole pot. I'm not like taking part of the pot. I'm reaching my hand into the whole thing. I'm not going to like break it in half first. And then now I can reach my hand into half of the pot. That's stupid. We reach our hand into the whole pot and we don't break anything in the process. So I've got out of, this word of indicates out of something, out of 600. So again, we can set this up. There's 2 ways to do it. If I go 100 to 60, that's times 6. Ooh, that's pretty easy. This is times 6. 8 times 6 is 48, but there's a 0, so I add 0. That's 480. I check my work. 480 divided by 600. 480 divided by 600 is equal to 0.8. Then 80 divided by 100 is equal to 0.8. Boom, I'm a boss. This is correct. And this is correct. So 480 is my answer. 480. The other way you could have done this is we could have cross multiplied 600 times 80. 600 times 80. That's equal to 48,000. So I have 48,000 is equal to 100 n. When I don't know the answer to a multiplication, part of a not the answer. When I don't know part of a multiplication problem, I divide so that I can find it. I get 1 n because 100 divided by 100 is 1 n is equal to divided by 100. Oh, check this out. I knock my zeros off and I get 480 as the solution. Last problemo. You want to use, I don't even know how to close. reddish peach. It says, what is 30% of 60? All right, so I've got 100%, 30%. It says of 60, so it's out of 60. So that means 60 is going to be my whole, and I don't know what my part is. So again, you can set this up. Be careful. We can't just go 30 to 60 because that's diagonal across. You can go down or side to side. Cannot go diagonal like this, but we can cross multiply and then divide. We're doing this. So I've got 60 times 30. 6 times 3 is 18 with 2 zeros because there's 1 and there's 1. And then it's going to be equal to 100 times a number because I don't know it. And remember, when we don't know part of a multiplication problem, we divide by the same number, and that gives me 1. And I'm left with the n left over. Divide by 100. This knocks off. And I get 18. The reason I knock those off is because I divided by 10, knocks 1 0 off, and then divided by 10 again, knocks 1 0 off. I can work every single time as long as it doesn't have decimals. So, boom, 18 is 30% of 60.